All right. Ever find yourself wondering how to turn those casual website visitors into, actual paying customers?
Hmm. Yeah, it's a question that keeps many people up at night.
I bet it does. It's all about crafting a killer landing page,
Ugh,
right? And before anyone tunes out thinking this is just about design, i i- it's way more than making things look pretty,
exactly. Aesthetics are a part of it, sure, but there's a whole lot more under the hood.
which is why today we're doing a deep dive into this blog post from, get this, an Australian web design company.
Oh, from down under, love it.
They really spill the tea on what it takes to build landing pages that actually convert. And this stuff is gold, honestly, whether you're selling handmade earrings or like enterprise software.
Because at the end of the day, a conversion's a conversion, right? Doesn't matter what the product is if you don't know the principles.
Exactly. So maybe you could kick us off here. What's the biggest misconception people have about landing pages?
I'd say it's that they think, oh, it's just another page on my website, but it's not. A landing page has one job, one focus, conversion.
It's like your website is the whole party, and the landing page is that exclusive VIP area where the real action happens.
Love that analogy.
Right. Guiding your visitor step by step to do that one specific thing could be anything: making a purchase, signing up for a newsletter.
Downloading that top secret recipe you're giving away. Anything.
Right. It's all about that action.
Yeah.
So conversion. For someone who's totally new to this, what's the payoff? Why should they care?
Results. That's what it boils down to. More leads coming in, sales going through the roof. Whatever success looks like for you online, that's what a good landing page helps you achieve.
Okay, so how do we build this conversion machine? The blog gave this awesome checklist. Let's break it down. First up, headlines. Got to be attention grabbing.
Totally. You don't just say what you do. It's got to be, why should someone care right now?
It's like the first line in a conversation. You want to make them stick around.
And you only get a split second to do it, so make it count.
And speaking of conversation, the copywriting. Got to persuade people, which means knowing your audience inside out.
Oh, 100%. Like, are you talking to busy moms? Are you talking to tech CEOs? Your
Yep.
language changes, right?
Big time. You've got to speak their language, address their pain points, show them you get it. Now, something else that can make or break that connection: visuals.
So true. No one wants to land on a page that's just a wall of text. Dull stock photos. Ugh, the worst.
Right. And the blog post, it's funny, they were really specific about this for the Australian market. They're like, use images that feel familiar to Aussies.
Which makes perfect sense, right? Creating that instant connection like, hey, these people get me.
It's like seeing a familiar face in a crowd puts you at ease.
Yeah.
So we've got our headline, we've got the copy, we've got visuals. What's next?
Time to tell those people what we want them to actually do. That's where your call to action comes in. And it's got to be crystal clear and compelling.
We're talking ditch those boring submit buttons.
Oh, please, anything but that. Use action words. Create a little urgency. Download now. Get your discount today.
Yeah.
You get the idea.
Now we're talking. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've hooked them with the headline, convinced them with our copy, got some eye-catching visuals, a clear call to action. What's the final touch?
A little sprinkle of what we like to call social proof.
Uh-huh. Because people trust other people
Right.
more than they trust some random website.
Exactly. Testimonials, case studies, even just logos of big brands you've worked with shows you're legit, you deliver.
And for our Australian friends, they were big on using testimonials from other Aussies,
Yeah.
like hyper-local social proof.
Right.
Pretty clever.
Makes sense. Shows you understand the market.
Right. It all adds up. So we've covered the basics, the must-haves, but to really level up your landing page game, there's more to it. And one thing our Australian web design gurus were very clear about, you gotta make sure your landing page is mobile friendly, like no ifs, ands, or buts.
Oh, absolutely. We're living in a mobile-first world, right? People are on their phones for everything.
It's crazy. And it's not just about making your desktop site fit on a smaller screen. It's got to be designed for it from the ground up.
Exactly. Can someone navigate easily with their thumb? Can they actually read the text without getting eye strain? Do those fancy images you picked load quickly, even if their connection's spotty?
Oh man, I've definitely abandoned carts because a website was just driving me nuts on my phone.
It's so frustrating. And honestly, as a business, you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
Big time. And speaking of speed, that load time, remember when you'd be staring at that little spinning wheel? Like forever.
The dark ages. It's better now, for sure, but honestly, every fraction of a second counts, especially on landing pages.
So true. So what can people do to speed things up?
Image optimization is huge. Those big, beautiful, high-res photos, they can really slow things down.
Yeah, makes sense.
Compressing them can make a world of difference. And then there are things like browser caching, using a CDN. Those are more technical.
Yeah, those sound kind of techy. Break it down for the non-coders like me.
Okay, so browser caching. It's like when you keep a takeout menu from your favorite restaurant. Next time you're craving their food, boom, you've got the menu. No need to look it up again.
Okay, I can get behind that. And CDN.
So imagine that restaurant has like kitchens all over the city. No matter where you live, they can deliver your food fast because it's coming from the closest spot. That's kind of what a CDN does for your website files.
Food analogy is always a winner.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've optimized for mobile. Our page is lightning fast. What's next on our quest for landing page domination?
Here's where it gets really interesting. We've got to talk about testing and tweaking.
Because we don't just hit publish and walk away.
Definitely not. It's a conversation with your audience, remember. You wouldn't just talk at someone and never listen to their response, would you? That's where A/B testing comes in.
A/B testing. For those of us who are like, hey, what now? Explain it like we're 5.
Okay, picture this. You've got 2 slightly different versions of your landing page. Maybe the headline's a little different or the button color. You show one version to half your visitors, the other version to the other half, and then you see which one performs better.
So it's all about those small changes that can have a big impact.
Precisely. It takes the guesswork out of it. You're letting your audience tell you what works best. Speaking of which, remember earlier we were talking about how the Australians were all about using those hyper-local visuals?
Yeah, it made a lot of sense.
It got me thinking, what if you could take that even further? Like, personalize your message, not just for location, but for different people, you know? Based on their demographics, what they're interested in.
Whoa, that's next level.
Mm-hmm.
Like every single person gets a landing page tailored just for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the future of all this. But for now, let's talk about what not to do. We've covered the good, but what are some of those landing page fails that make you cringe?
It's kind of like, when you see a bad website, you just know.
Oh, yeah. It's like a train wreck. You can't look away.
Exactly. So let's break down some of those common landing page disasters, shall we? The blog post mentioned information overload. What's that all about?
It's when people try to cram every single detail onto one page. Like, more is better, right, wrong. It just ends up overwhelming people.
Makes sense. They're there for a reason. Don't distract them.
Exactly. Remember, landing page, not a website brochure. Keep it focused.
Okay, what else makes you hit that back button faster than you can say conversion?
Oh, those forms that are like a mile long?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need information, but don't ask for their life story before they even know what's going on.
Totally. Don't scare them off. Oh, and speaking of things that scare people off, the blog post mentioned banner blindness. What is that?
It's wild, right? We've seen so many banner ads that our brains kind of just tune them out automatically.
Like even if it's something we'd actually be interested in.
Yep. It's like we've all developed this built-in ad blocker in our heads.
So how do you combat that? Make sure those calls to action don't get lost.
Design and placement, that's key. Make that button pop, use a different color, make it stand out, and don't underestimate the power of white space. Give it some breathing room.
It's like, don't hide the good stuff, right?
Exactly. Now, while we want people to convert, we don't want our landing pages to feel like a dead end, you know?
All right, you got to give them options.
Exactly. Link back to your hub page, maybe a button to check out your blog, something like that.
Keep things user-friendly. Now, I do want to touch on something else the blog mentioned. They were really big on the legal stuff, especially since they're in Australia.
Right. And we don't need to get into the nitty-gritty of Australian law here, but the point is, no matter where you are, you got to know the rules, right?
Makes sense. Can't just plead ignorance.
Exactly. And the good news is there's tons of info out there. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. Better safe than sorry.
Always good advice. Well, this has been quite a deep dive into the world of landing pages. We covered a ton.
It's amazing how much goes into one page, right? But it's what makes it so fascinating. There's always something new to learn.
And the best part is, even those little tweaks, they can make a huge difference. It's all about understanding how to talk to your audience online and get them excited.
Absolutely. It's about creating those online experiences that people actually enjoy, you know?
And speaking of online experiences, I have to ask, remember when we were talking about hyper-localizing those visuals? What if you took that even further? Like, what if you could make a landing page that felt like it was designed just for one person?
Whoa, now that's an interesting thought. Imagine every single visitor getting a completely personalized experience.
Right. Talk about making a good first impression. Well, on that note, we'll leave you all with that little thought to ponder. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of landing pages.